My poor little Nissan. Welcome back to the episode where we lay block. We're gonna get our foundation stem wall built tomorrow. I'm here with Elena's dad, Mark, and he's gonna help me do a little bit of prep work. We gotta move some block around. The mason gave me a nice little sketch of where he wants the 5 pallets of 8-inch block we have, 1 pallet of 6-inch block. And we got some water. I got a tote from work I'm borrowing. That was the better alternative to buying like 25-gallon buckets from Home Depot and filling them with water. So I got this tote. I got about 100 gallons of water in it. That's what's gonna be used to mix the mortar with. And the last thing I gotta do is fill stone around the footing up to basically the top surface. And that's so that the masons have something to stand on pretty easily while they're laying block. Earlier this week, I came by and stripped the footing forms off. That was pretty easy. It only took me about an hour by myself.
This right angle impact attachment from Milwaukee was crucial for this job.
Kind of loosen them, pull right out. To get all the boards off, they didn't stick, mostly because as the concrete shrinks, it basically pulls away from the form and it demolds itself, more or less. So I'm gonna take all but a couple, just to keep them as a ramp over the trench here.
After cleaning these 2x8 forms off, we should be able to reuse them on another part of the project or another project entirely. I got a killer deal on these skid steer forks, 400 bucks from a buddy who worked at a big construction company that wrecked a machine and didn't need them anymore. The skid steer made this job 10 times easier. I cannot imagine doing this with a shovel and a wheelbarrow. Moving these blocks around was the first real test of my skid steer's load limit. I thought I was going to be in the clear after I picked up this pallet of 6-inch blocks, and even then I could just barely lift the thing off the ground. But the 8-inch blocks proved otherwise, and I could not budge these things. At 90 blocks per pallet and 36 pounds per block, the weight of these pallets was around 3,250 pounds, and my skid steer is rated to lift 1,500 pounds, and that includes the pallet fork, so I was definitely pushing it. However, I found that I could skid the pallets across the ground, and I got the job done despite some broken pallet boards and some loss of our sparse grass. Just about 12 hours later, the guys were on site. They started by setting the laser up for square and level and snapping lines on the footer. The next task was to distribute all the blocks off the pallets and onto the edge of the trench and basically alternate them with these mortar pans. The goal is to reduce the distance that a mason has to travel in order to get either block or mortar at any given point along the foundation. First step is to set all 4 corners plumb, level, and square, and then fill in between the corners. I decided to use this horizontal reinforcement wire in the joints. It basically acts like rebar within the mortar joints. It helps hold everything together when the mortar does inevitably crack. It was recommended by the engineer I ran my plans through, and it was a very minimal added cost, so I figured why not.
We're underway here on day 3. You can see all the guys behind me. It's only about 7:45 in the morning right now, and the 4 corners are already built. The first row is already down. Everyone started showing up around 6:30 in the morning. They shot the corners square and level with the laser. Our foundation was within 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So that rotary laser investment was definitely a good call. And Sean, the foreman, said that we should come do their concrete foundations from now on because they don't see anything like that in the commercial world, that's for sure. So there's a crew of 6 guys here, plus Sean, who's kind of leading everything, and they're flying. They're all really good. I think 2 of the guys are foremen at their commercial company, and all the rest are pretty much block laying apprentices, so they all really know what they're doing, and they're really cranking it out. Lena's on the way over with some trash cans for the mortar bags that are piling up, and to come check out the site. But it's pretty amazing what can be done in such a short amount of time. Hello.
Hey.
What are you thinking?
I'm just trying to learn. I have a lot of questions, so I'm thinking of my questions that I'm going to ask Alex or the foreman.
For the top courser block, I wanted to use a 6-inch bond beam that will actually receive a piece of horizontal rebar within the channel that's carved out, and that will provide strength around that top perimeter course to hold concrete in when we pour the slab. The 6-inch block also works well with our wall thickness and makes sure that we won't be able to see the edge of a block or insulation when we have the slab poured. It turned out actually to be cheaper just to buy regular 6-inch block and pay these guys a nominal fee just to use their concrete saw and cut out the webs as they need. They do make knockout blocks, which essentially have the slots pre-cast in here, and you can just take a hammer and knock the webbing out. However, they were about triple the cost of these regular 6-inch block, and I got free delivery, so I couldn't complain. The only place we don't have the 6-inch course is in front of the garage doors where we will pour the slab through. For the man doors, I wanted to keep the thermal break, so we will have the door sill on top of those blocks. By the time morning break rolled around, 2 of the 4 walls were built.
Guys are finishing up the last 2 sides of the wall. This first side right behind me is pretty much all done, and they're making incredible progress in such a short time. Let's do a time check here. It's 10:35 in the morning, so we are barely 3.5 hours into the job, and foundation's almost done. So needless to say, I'm really happy I hired this out. Loving how good it's looking right now. It's extremely straight, square, and I'm really happy with it. Well, believe it or not, it is just afternoon, not even 5 hours into the project. Foundation wall is completely done, everything's cleaned up, everyone has headed home for the day to enjoy the rest of their Saturday. I'd say it was definitely a win-win. I did not have to do any of this labor, which I really wouldn't have been good at anyway. The guys got paid for a quick side job, they're in and out, everything went pretty much exactly as planned. The footer was good, block was all there, no material shortages or anything like that, and everyone's happy. So I'm really happy with how it all turned out. Foundation is super square, super straight. I haven't checked the level or anything with the laser, but I can't imagine it's going to be really too far off. So that'll be really handy when we are finally framing. I built this little ramp behind me, and that's going to be an easy way to just get over the foundation wall without stepping on it while it's still unreinforced. And we're going to have to do that quite a bit because the next step is under slab plumbing and putting the insulation on the inside of our walls before we can backfill everything. And grout it, I forgot about that. The whole wall is going to get grouted solid. A question we've gotten a little bit on social media is why we chose to go with a block foundation wall instead of poured. Honestly, it's a long conversation, probably could be its own video. But there were a few different factors that led to this decision for us. First of all, we knew someone who does block. Well, it's really a friend of a friend. I didn't know them personally, but they do multi-million-dollar block work. They work at a commercial masonry company. It's one of my best friend's father-in-law's foremans at this commercial masonry company, and I knew that by hiring them, I would really get absolute top quality product. Second is cost. It's probably pretty comparable, honestly, by the very end of it. I'll do the math eventually and see what it really was. But concrete is definitely expensive, and the block wall kind of negates the savings there because I still will be filling this completely solid. However, I don't really have to if I didn't want. I could only do the rebars cells if I really wanted. But in general, when added up, block walls are typically a little bit cheaper than the concrete when all things are considered, like labor, materials, that sort of thing. I also really like the flexibility of the block wall. I like that the wall can be up and then I can go do my underslab plumbing and knock out exactly where I need to. Not have to put conduits in the forms before I know exactly where everything's gonna go. Not a big deal, it could be done either way, but that was just another reasoning I had. So at the end of the day, I mean, it could have totally gone either way. Cost probably would have been pretty comparable with how I'm doing this, which is definitely overkill for this foundation, doing the fully grouted solid wall, vertical rebar, the horizontal rebar at the top. Comes out in the wash probably, I'm sure, but I'm sure I'll get lots of hate in the comments about concrete guys that could have done this for cheaper or whatever, but unfortunately I don't really care. So I'm happy with how it turned out, and if I have any other block projects in the future, I know exactly who to call. In fact, these guys do stone veneer as well, and we will be doing a stone veneer wall in the front, so I might be giving them a call back shortly. And speaking of cost comparison, I actually will be publishing the cost for this whole project. It's going to be on our Patreon page. Be sure to check that out if you're curious about it. The next phase of this project is going to be under slab plumbing, so there's going to be a whole cluster of pipes here in this back quadrant near my utility room. I'll be doing that work myself and should just have to put one hole in the foundation over on the left side there where the main sewer outlet's going to go. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more and follow the rest of the journey as we build this house. Elena posts a lot more on the socials at Mason-Dixon Acres, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Follow us there as well. Thanks again and see you next week.